We are who we choose to be. Now choose!
Control, and by extension free will, is a pretty big topic when we discuss ourselves. I mean, this guy was into it, that guy was into it, and all those guys were also pretty big on it. The extent to which you believe in free will can really determine if you're going to be an edgy, nihilist student of philosophy, a laissez-faire, ruthless industrial capitalist, or just a greater good-believing, propaganda-inseminating commie. You probably pondered it yourself, maybe while staring into your own personal void as you reflect on your life when your family decides to put on an Adam Sandler Netflix comedy special during the holidays. Do we have control over our choices? Does that make our lives better? Does it make them worse? There's a lot of potential ways to answer those questions. You could go to a library, read some smart folks, and study up on that. You could talk to the kind of friends you have who caption their Instagram post with deep. You could even watch some alt-right intellectuals on YouTube who bravely distribute the truth that our government is secretly run by lizard people. My point is, you have options. Some are better than others. But the most unlikely and possibly most intrinsically fun way to answer this question of free will might just be games. The video kind that you play, as in video games. And this is supposed to sound like, a lot more dramatic, but now I'm just like an idiot. Video games is kind of a collective term we use to describe a buttload of interactive experiences. With video games, the thing that separates the broad spectrum of interactive experiences you can have is mainly control. On one end, you have games that really aren't all that different from movies or TV shows because they don't give you a lot of control. You got your AAA Tomb Raiders, maybe your God of Wars, Uncharted, games like this. They're a lot of fun, but you don't have a lot of choice in them. You press buttons to make things happen, and you're having a direct impact on the gameplay, but you're kind of mainly stuck following the path the game decides is best for the story. Just like Asian kids are forced into the right careers by their parents who only want to see them be successful. I can say that, right? Because I'm Asian? Oh, it's still racist? Damn it. College student baggage aside, there is absolutely nothing wrong with these kinds of games, despite the lack of choice. They can be cinematic, super shiny, and just generally really satisfying in their limited interaction. When you get knocked back by a rush of water only to just barely grab onto a ledge as rocks fall behind you in like Tomb Raider or Uncharted, it's really tense. It's a straight up Ethan Hunt moment, and it's like being Tom Cruise just without the Scientology. It's just the best of all worlds. But the important thing is that you don't really have choice. You can't really change the outcome of that. You try not to see the guy behind pulling the strings backstage, and you just hope that you don't notice. And as long as you don't, everything's fine. It's gonna look great, it's gonna act great. Just, try not to escape the boundaries. And then you also have this kind of linear mode of games in the indie space. You got your games like Inside or Abzu, which I love, and I love chilling out on them, but they're more passive. A lot of the hard work and choices are being made for me. I'm kind of just following a path in some way. Whether it's 2D or 3D, it's still, very constrained. The games for me, though, that really stand out are the ones that on the surface might be a little less polished. Maybe they don't have as many cinematic moments. But these kind of games are arguably the ones that have the biggest impacts, and they're the kind of games that have made gaming as a whole more accessible than it's ever been. These are the games that relinquish control from the almighty developer to the lowly player, often at risk of being maybe a little janky, buggy, or just working in unintended ways. But often, all of this is for the better. One example I like to think of is Minecraft. This game is made with Java, not the coffee shit you put in your beans, but the computer language that a lot of your terrible corporate software at work you're forced to use was probably coded in. With Minecraft, if you want to set up multiplayer for the original Java version of the game, it's kind of a process. It's super jank. It's kind of like pulling your own windshield wipers in a car instead of having a motor. And the graphics are nostalgic, to put it gently. And there's really nothing to even do unless you decide to make goals for yourself. Yet somehow, this game went on to become like the hottest thing with the kids for years, only much later being usurped in 2018 by
Fortnite and Marquez Brownlee.
Now, the reason Minecraft was so originally popular isn't really in spite of the jank. it's because of the jank. Think of it like a tabula rasa, which, to me sounds like a Magic the Gathering card, but my sources tell me it's a fancy way to say blank slate. The fact that you had to be creative in Minecraft made it all the more fun when you managed to make an electrical system out of weird red stuff, or you figured out how to exploit mechanics so that you can infinitely farm resources. You kind of had to learn how the world worked, and then you could just exploit it for fun, just like a blocky, pixelated version of Gordon Gekko. In the newer versions of Minecraft, after it was bought by a company with a kind of exceptional taste to put Candy Crush ads in its operating system, well, things have changed a little bit. Now, the newer versions of Minecraft are technically a bit better, they run smoother, a lot of the jankiness with setting up multiplayer or getting hacks to work, that's all gone. But you know what that means? So is the fun. There was something of a learning process to making crappy pixel art in MS Paint or your pirated version of Photoshop when you were a kid, and uploading a PNG to some random website just to change your appearance in the game. Now it's a lot easier, it's streamlined, it's modern, you shell out your mom's credit card, you pay for the character skins that Microsoft has generously made corporate deals for. You can be Mickey Mouse, you can be Master Chief, it's all great. Oh, by the way, you can't control any of it. You do what they tell you to do. And yeah, this made things simpler, cleaner, maybe a little more PG. But in doing this, Minecraft took out ingenuity, choice, and limited kids' options to customize the game their own way. It's kind of like giving Matthew Broderick the computer mainframe from War Games and then telling him, oh, sorry, you can't actually start thermonuclear war, but hey, if you want, you can play Fallout, because, that's close enough. Smarter option, probably safer, but you took out the fun of choice, and you might have even ruined a sense of independence and ingenuity that could have blossomed. And worst of all, you did it to my boy, Matthew Broderick. It's not all bad, though, because there are some modern games that still balance refinement and player freedom exceptionally well. There's actually a whole genre that we hardcore gamers like to call open world games, where the player can explore anything at any time and just disregard the linear story. However, none of the ones I played come close to matching a Zelda Breath of the Wild as an open world game when it comes to actually making choice in that open world matter. I think games like Far Cry are fun, but the choice you really have in those games kind of comes down to, do you want to sneak up on this enemy camp, or do you want to attack it loud and aggressively? And, style matters, but that's kind of the extent of it. In Breath of the Wild, Nintendo basically just lets you break the game. And this is coming from a company with a control freak mindset the size of Apple. I can go in and fight the final boss right from the beginning of the game if I have a suicidal streak. Or I can do what the nutritional labels game tells me to do, and slowly reclaim the world and acquire resources and skills to eventually beat it. You can climb anything, glide anywhere as long as you're high enough, move large magnets around for funsies, even have conversations with eccentric characters who are scattered about. It's basically New York City in the wilderness, but it smells a lot better than that would, because that sounds kind of oof. Everything in the world of Breath of the Wild is bound by a kind of semi-realistic logic that just makes intuitive sense. Rain will make your stuff slippery, metal weapons or armor are going to attract lightning to you during a thunderstorm. If it's raining out, you also need shelter to start a fire. Your weapons and equipment will naturally wear out with use, kind of like they're made from butter, but hey, it's good because you have to change your weapons and adapt them. Breath of the Wild isn't so much of a power fantasy as it is an invitation to do whatever you want, so long as you don't die. Now, some Neo-level Matrix gamers have probably figured out ways to skip the whole game using the physics system and abuse it, and some people might call it cheating, but you know what? I think it's okay. It's being creative. It's using the systems and interaction and choices the game gave you and just having fun with them. And this kind of design approach in Zelda can even be seen in things like the interface mechanics. In most games, your quests are updated with waypoints all the time, and you get this clear yellow highlighted path you gotta follow, like you got Google Maps. Not that way in Breath of the Wild. At best, it's like Apple Maps. And it's a lot of fun and satisfying doing that. You might get a dot on the map, and you have to figure out how to get there. And while other games would automatically, mark important locations you come to, like cooking pots, or automatically add encyclopedias of everything in the game for you, in Zelda, you have to stamp symbols on the map yourself. You have to take photos of creatures and items and catalog them yourself. All of this might sound frustrating, but the manual process and responsibility that the game puts on you is actually satisfying, in the same way trying to figure out how to build some beautiful Scandinavian and horrifically vague instruction set for an IKEA bookshelf could be. None of this is new. Breath of the Wild came out in March of 2017 at the same time as the Nintendo Switch. But having played it recently as a casual, out-of-touch gamer, I kind of wish more games gave me the same level of control that Minecraft and Zelda do. Now, sure, I might, run into bugs or do things the developers never intended for me to do, but that possibility is kind of intriguing in its own right. It makes the games unique, and sadly enough, not enough of them do this. Even open-world games like, the Grand Theft Auto spin by Rockstar, they're starting to go in the wrong direction. In GTA 4 in 2008, players could host casual servers by themselves, custom servers, and the game was more lenient with mods. But ever since then, Rockstar seems to have realized that they could make Pablo Escobar levels of cash by restricting stuff that previously was available in the newer modes like GTA Online. Now Rockstar have become control freaks. There's no more Carmageddon, no more crazy Iron Man mods, or anything else that Rockstar would call cheating. Because in GTA 5, everything is locked down. And this is sad, because some of the best moments I've had in GTA Online have been the times things have broken, and hackers have made money fall from the sky, and bombs blow up midair. And that's all fun, that's spontaneous. It's a laugh, it's a hoot. And them and a lot of other developers have kind of taken this position of being petty enforcers. And they're despised on the scale of parking officers, justifiably so. Because they claim to care about the user experience, but their modus operandi, that's also Magic the Gathering, right? Oh no? Their way of doing things, their main driver, is extracting money from players by taking away moments that would otherwise be spontaneous, crazy, fun, and by the way, included in the game. But I guess the thing is, you can only incentivize microtransactions by limiting what used to be taken for granted. This conflict is understandably at the heart of gaming just as much as free will is at the heart of human life and intro psych courses. Games are a duality of mercantile, profit-driven products and artistic endeavors. TV shows and movies don't really have the same degree of exploitation and thus responsibility that games do, so they can be more focused on being art. For games, being interactive is their greatest strength when it comes to enabling choice. But sadly, in order to make piles of money from games, it's kind of becoming increasingly common to resort to taking that choice away, and then using the inherently gripping and addictive nature of a game to sell it back to you. It's blackmail, that's what it is. It's really psychological manipulation. So my hope is that some companies like Nintendo and indie developers continue to keep choice at the core of their games. I don't need every game to be that way. There's a time and place. I know my friends love playing FIFA, even if they're going to spend all their summer job money on it. And I know I still love a good old linear indie game that tells a beautiful story, preferably one that's made by someone with a beautiful beard. But sometimes it's good to be able to make some choices in games, just like in life, and not be stuck in the same monotonous routine that society is hell-bent on forcing you into. Video games are inherently escapist. They should embrace that more. Just like you should embrace that subscribe button if you like this video. Thanks for watching. This has been Dreaming Polygons, episode 1, I guess. I'm Max Patton. Maybe if more people watch this besides my grandma, I'll make more of these videos. I don't know. But enjoy yourselves. Make some good choices in games. Play the good games. Make the good choices. I'm counting on you. And again, like and subscribe. Just letting you know they're there. Goodbye.